Like what we do? Consider supporting the channel by becoming a Patreon member. The link is in the description below. And as always, please enjoy the story.
It's been years. Years of nothing but ghosts and whispers. However, this new lead, it's thick and juicy like a plump steak. It beckons the orb. It beckons me. Every step I take, following what I can only describe as an intense desire, the orb urges me to march onward. I've been walking for hours and the city is now miles behind me. We've not taken a single break. Even if I wanted to stop, I can't. I feel the orb's intense desire to be whole once more. It forces me onward. It forces me to keep walking, even though my feet feel like they're bleeding. I'm still in the body of that young waitress from the diner. Her uniform does little to keep me warm against the nighttime chill as I amble down this long and empty country road. I wanted to stop at the last motel I saw so I could change outfits, or at the very least change forms. The orb wouldn't allow it. Its influence has never been so potent on me. It's infecting my thoughts and reaching deep into my brain. Another gust of wind cuts straight through me. I feel my skin tense up as I begin to shiver. My only source of warmth is the orb pulsating in the pouch of my dress. The road is dark, and the trees howl as the wind buffers them. The only light I see is the occasional car that drives by and beeps at me. No one yet has been foolish to stop and question me. Although, I don't think it'll be long until some dirty creep sees my young female body as an easy target. It's typical. Why couldn't I have stolen a hiker's body or something? This girl, her legs are tired and spindly. Of course, I could change to another form, but the orb, it wants to find them. It wants to take them. It demands it. I feel its pain. It's our pain. Bringing my dainty hands to my mouth to warn them, the headlight beams of a car light up the path in front of me. I think nothing of it, until the lights begin to light up the surrounding trees, a bright red and blue. Looking around at it, I'm blinded by the lights. It's a police cruiser, clearly concerned for me. Not quite what I expected, but I guess this might work out. I could do with a ride. As the police car pulls up beside me, I brush the hair from my eyes and put on my best smile. I'm not one for flirting, but I'm getting better at using my feminine charms. The window slowly rolls down, and the two officers inside the vehicle look at me like I'm stupid. Right now, I guess I must look like a damsel in distress. I'm just a silly young blonde, desperate for the help of two strong men. Little do they know the danger they find themselves in. Ma'am? One of them says, opening his car door as I continue to amble painfully down the road. Quickly catching up to me, he looks down at me with concern. I can see the thoughts in his eyes as he judges me. He's wondering what a young waitress is doing wandering around at this time of night. "Are you okay, ma'am?" he asks, looking down at me as my body continues to shiver with the biting wind. "Do you need assistance?" This is the perfect opportunity for me to commandeer a vehicle. If only the orb would allow me to stop for a moment. The orb, on the other hand, has other thoughts. My legs just keep walking. I can't stop. "Ma'am?" the officer repeats, becoming more impatient with every second. My actions are clearly starting to worry him. Starting to follow me as I continue to march forward, it only takes him a few strides of his long legs to catch up. I look at him as he walks beside me. "Are you going to talk to me, miss?" he asks, signaling to his partner to follow in the cruiser. As the car pulls alongside us, I look at the officer inside and give him a playful grin. Even if I wanted to stop, the orb isn't letting me. "Miss," he repeats, shouting over the wind, "I need you to stop and talk with us. We want to understand what's going on here. A woman your age shouldn't be walking out here alone. Do you know how dangerous that might be for someone like you? Someone like me? I laugh out loud. His face drops, but I keep smiling as I reach into the pouch of my dress. This is my chance to steal their car. Fuck! I scream as the orb unexpectedly stabs at my fingers. Is it defending itself again? Why is it attacking me? I need it to absorb this guy. I try again. Shit! I screech in pain at another stab to my fingers. My jerking reactions cause the police officer to reach for his sidearm. He's clearly getting spooked by my behavior. Miss, the officer says sternly, now resting his hand on his gun holster. Have you got a concealed weapon? Stop right now and hit the floor before I force you down. I don't stop. I keep walking through the pain. Ma'am, he commands, pulling his sidearm from its holster. Please cooperate or I will be required to use force. Looking at the large, mustached man pointing his pistol in my direction, I frown. I don't want him to shoot me. It hurts. Don't point that gun at me, I growl back with a serious expression. Threatening me will only hasten your demise. The officer's face drops and his expression becomes unfriendly. Stop now! Lay on the ground! He commands with a booming voice. I don't comply. I just continue to walk, glaring at the man threatening me with his silly little gun. Now, miss! He rages as the police cruiser races ahead to block me off. Staring at the flashing blue lights on the cruiser, I keep walking toward it. I'm on a collision path, and there's nothing I can do about it. On the floor! The officer with the gun shouts once again. I can feel his large body looming over me as he walks directly behind me. Still unable to control my movement, I know where this is going. As I approach the cruiser blocking my path, the officer walking with me takes his chance. With one strong hand, he grabs my arms and forces me to the floor. As my pretty face slams into the mud, I feel the cold, wet ground soaking into my dress. Even if I wanted to fight back, he's physically stronger than me in this body. You're under arrest! The officer shouts at me, pressing down my back to pin me to the floor. I try to scream, but the soaked mud on the ground enters my mouth, causing me to gag. Still unable to move, I feel the warmth of the orb traveling up my stomach. Seconds later, I turn my face to see the orb rolling towards my eyes. It works its way through the mud to stop just in front of my face. What is it planning? I haven't seen it move on its own since I found it on that darn planet of cats. No regrets this time. I did warn him. As brilliant light streams from the orb, its intensity causes the officer to press down on me harder. He's clearly frightened. I don't blame him. What is that? He screeches, pointing the business end of his pistol into my back. Spitting the mud from my mouth out to speak, the orb begins to flash. It's so bright, my irises are burning. As I try desperately to look away from it, I feel something grab a hold of me, like a giant is trying to scoop me up in its massive hands. Without warning, I'm dragged from the floor, throwing the officer to the ground. Still unable to move, my body begins to float in midair. As my limbs dangle, the orb hovers directly above my head. Pulses of intense light bursting from the orb light up the entire area. It's like a second sun. I see everything. We've only entered this state once before. That town, that factory. It was infested. We had no choice. I had no choice. They were hiding themselves as humans. We had to cleanse the entire area. I had to cleanse the entire area. No one could be left alive. I raise my arms out to my sides and hold them to the sky as if I'm praising the sun. I am one. We are one. It's invigorating. It's exhilarating. It's rejuvenating. The orb's power consumes my every cell, filling my entire body with the life force of countless generations. It's like having the power of atomic bombs at your fingertips. It's intoxicating. As my body rises further from the ground, my blonde hair rises with the static surrounding me. We want this. I need this. Finally, getting to his feet, the officer with the gun looks up at me with terror emblazoned across his face. I see the panic in his eyes as I float above him. He looks upon me like I'm a god. Shaking as he raises his gun in terror, he calls for his partner. "Bill!" the officer cries out, getting out from the cruiser. "What the hell's happening? Is it a demon or something?" I don't know, Bill replies, barely able to hold his gun straight. He's shaking worse than the trees battling the strong winds. I look down at the barrel of his gun, and I can't help but allow a smile to stretch across my face. As a gunshot flash bursts from his pistol, I feel the cold steel bullet burrowing into my stomach. As my warm blood seeps from the wound, it soaks into my dress. If it wasn't for the pain, the warmth would be somewhat comforting. Then another, and another. Each gunshot hits me like a freight train. My life should be fading away, but I feel nothing but the warmth of my blood pouring from each wound. Grinning, I raise one hand, and the orb reacts. Forming into a shape like 1,000 sharpened knives, the orb contorts and solidifies, sharp enough to tear a hole in the fabric of space-time. This power, it's mine to control. It's mine to shape. It's mine to use. We are one. With a flick of my wrist and a blinding flash of light, the orb strikes at the officer. Sunspots left lingering in my eyes as my vision returns, and the officer slowly lowers his weapon with a weep. Blood dribbling from his mouth, his torso begins to slide away from his waist. As his body comes apart, the blood and guts on display are like something from a horror movie. Crying out for help with his dying breaths, his arms flail as his upper half falls to the floor. "Bill!" the officer behind me shouts, firing his weapon several times without warning. Each gunshot batters me, and one causes me to cough as it enters deep into my lungs. I turn my attention to him. His blood dribbles down my chin. I see the fear in his eyes as he shakes beneath us. To think I'm doing this all for them is disgraceful. Humans are so pathetic. Another flick of my wrist causes the orb to explode with penetrating light. Seconds later, the other man's body slides apart, sliced in two. Blood splatters from his legs and drenches the area around him. As the area goes silent, I listen to the sound of the trees and the wind. I feel nothing. We feel nothing. As I let out a long, bloody breath, I feel my injuries. I experience an intense cold and become dizzy. Coughing up more blood, I feel the throbbing pain of the bullets deep within me. As I'm lowered and my feet touch the ground, I can barely stand. I'm dying. As my vision begins to fade, the orb floats gracefully in front of my arms. Its brilliance is enough to keep me conscious. I reach out to it and touch its soft, warm surface with my fingertip. It embraces me, and I feel the warmth. A new form brings me back from the brink of death. Gone is the waitress. Gone is the pain. Who am I now? It doesn't matter. Onwards we march. They have it. We want it.